So good afternoon. Hope I'm audible. Yes, any one of you just confirm whether I'm audible or not. My voice, is it audible? Okay, today we will discuss few topics in our subject programming for problem solving. So in our physical class itself, we have started the third unit already. For beta section. I have completed the files concept and preprocessor commands we will be starting in today's session. We'll be discussing preprocessor commands in this online session. So, so far we know these preprocessor commands as the uh, file inclusion, what we call tools. So whenever you have to include the header files into your program, we have used these preprocessor commands. And we also know that these preprocessor commands, we generally do the declaration in the preprocessor commands section only. Okay, it is the topmost section of your structure of a C program. Okay, so long before we have discussed the structure of a C program, there you have seen the topmost section. Okay, it is the preprocessor commands section. There we keep all the preprocessor commands. Okay, one such command we already familiar is hash include. You know it very well. For the purpose of file inclusion, we use this hash include preprocessor commands. Hash. Okay, all the preprocessor commands, they start with this hash sign. Okay, hash symbol as this particular symbol. So under this topic, preprocessor, we need to see the commonly used preprocessor commands like include, define, undefined, undef, if at all it is defined, if not defined. There are some more we will discuss more, like how to do the multi-way selection, that also we discuss. Defined constant, I mean defined also we will discuss. Defined keyword also we will discuss under this preprocessors. Okay, so it is a small topic only. It won't take much of the time. So let's just get into it. So the preprocessor commands. Okay. See, at the time when we have discussed the topic of creating and running C programs, writing and editing C programs, in that we have seen one particular section where we talk about the compiler, C compiler. We said that the C compiler, it is made up of two things. One is the preprocessor and the other one is the translator. Okay, so the preprocessor, what it will do, ma, any predefined stuff you have in your program. Okay, anything predefined if you have in your program, that predefined content will be added to your program by using these preprocessors. Okay, or we can say the preprocessors as the smart editors. What they will do, wherever you have these preprocessor commands, they will replace, these preprocessors will replace those preprocessing commands with their actual code. That is what the duty of preprocessor. Okay, soon you will realize when we actually discuss about these preprocessors. Simply remember, like suppose you have hash include the file name, okay, stdio.h, the file name. So at the time of pre-processing, what will happen? Whatever code you have in that file, stdio.h header file, that code will be attached, or we can say in place of that preprocessor command, hash include stdio.h, in place of that preprocessor command, the complete part of that header file will be placed, will be attached. Okay, so you can clearly see at the time if you compile your C program now, they will give you the number of lines compiled, how many lines you have compiled, there it will show. Okay, the actual source code which you are writing, maybe it is less, maybe you are writing 10-20 lines of code, but when you do the compilation, it will give the message as around 400-500 lines got compiled likewise. From where we got those extra lines? In the sense, from these pre-processing commands only, because these preprocessor commands, they have replaced those pre-processing commands with the actual file code. That's the reason we got more number of lines to be executed or to be compiled in our program. Okay, they are simply act like a replacement. Okay, for the command, the code. Okay, command to code replacement, wherever you are keeping this preprocessor command into your program, that command will get replaced with the code. Okay, with the code. Okay, so the preprocessor uses programmer supplied commands. So who supply these commands in your program? Your programmer will supply. There are some predefined pre-processing commands also, that also we will discuss for sure. So we only create these preprocessor commands, and we only places these preprocessor commands into our code. Okay, so the preprocessor uses programmer supplied command to prepare the source program for compilation. So when this will be done, when this pre-processing will be done, in the sense, as part of your compilation only, this pre-processing will be done. So we said the compilation, it is a two-part thing. One is the pre-processing and other one is the translation. The preprocessor will perform the pre-processing and the translator will perform the translation. Okay, so you can see here the translator, it is responsible for converting the C statements into machine code. C statements will be converted into machine code with the help of this translator. But before this only, the pre-processing will be performed. Okay, so these two things, these two stages which we are talking about here, the pre-processing and the translation, in some compilers, it will go like a collective work. Okay, it will go like a single work, but in some compilers it will go like a separate work. That is what they are talking about here. In the, depending upon the type and the version of the compiler which you are using, the pre-processing and the translator can work together, or the preprocessor can create a separate version and the translator then use it. Okay, now you will see that explanation in this particular image. Here I took one image to explain this clearly. So the design is shown in the following figure. You can see the compilation. Okay, when we are talking about this compilation, it is a two-stage job compilation. First, the pre-processing will be done, and next the translator will take its role. Okay, the preprocessor and the translator. The source program is nothing but the .c file which we are writing. .c file which we are writing, that will be given to the preprocessor, and the preprocessor look, it will perform a lookup operation. It will look for all the preprocessing commands present in your code, present in your C code, and it will replaces all those pre-processing commands with their actual code. Okay, na? Sometimes the actual code will be present in header files, and sometimes the actual code will be present inside your program only. So depending upon the nature of the command, pre-processing command, it will replaces those pre-processing commands with their actual code. And after the pre-processing, whatever code we are getting, we call it as the translation unit. Okay, we got the translation unit. After the first stage, first job, whatever code we are getting, we call it as translation unit, and that translation unit we are giving to the translator, and your translator is responsible for converting the translation unit into the object module. And we all know that this object module is nothing but your machine language code. Even though it is not ready for execution, we call it as machine code only, your object code. Okay, object module or object code, it is nothing but the machine code only. Do understand and remember, the compilation, it is a two-stage process, the pre-processing and the translation. Preprocessor will replaces the pre-processing commands with their actual code present in your program. Hope it is clear. So yeah, I already told you, it can be thought of, your preprocessor, it can be thought of as a smart editor, because it will perform the editing job only, but it will do smartly. The editing job it will do smartly. Okay. Okay. Like a smart editor, it inserts, includes, excludes, and replaces text-based commands supplied by the programmer. Whatever commands we are supplying in our program, all those commands will be replaced by their actual content, actual body, we can say. So that's the reason we are calling the preprocessor as a smart editor. Okay. And all preprocessing commands, they start with a pound sign. We call it as hash or pound. Okay, pound sign or hash sign. Here you can see that one, this particular symbol. Okay, pound sign or hash sign. With this symbol only we start the preprocessor commands. Okay, so where we can place these preprocessor commands, in the sense, the what we call the definition of these preprocessing commands must go in the preprocessor section only, preprocessing section only. Okay, but the placement, where you can place them, in the sense, where you can use them, in the sense, anywhere in your program you can use them, anywhere in your source code you can use them. The definition must go in the topmost section, that is preprocessor commands section, and the usage, it can go anywhere in your program. Okay, hope you understood, ma. So the first type of preprocessing command, the hash include. Okay, it is one of the most commonly used preprocessor command. Almost all the C program have this hash include preprocessing command. The purpose is very simple, ma, to include a file into your program. Okay, the first and most common job of preprocessor is file inclusion. Okay, so what it will do, it will copy one or more files. Suppose if you are keeping hash include stdio.h, what it will do, it will copy that stdio, this stdio.h, it is a predefined header file somewhere available in your libraries. So what this include will do, it will copy the content of this stdio.h into your program. Okay, so not just one, you can keep as many header files into your program as you need. Okay, you can even keep stdlib.h, you can even keep conio.h, you can even keep math.h, string.h, as many header files you need into your program. That many preprocessing file inclusion commands you have to keep at the beginning of your program. So once during the preprocessing, what will happen, all those files code will be attached, will be included, will be copied into your program. Okay, the files are usually the header files that contain function and data declaration for the program, but they can contain any valid, and also they can contain any valid C statements. Okay, so the preprocessor command is hash include, and it has two different formats. See, one when you are including the header files, and one when you are including the user defined code, user defined files. It is also possible to attach other C related files or other header files, user defined header files to your program. Not just the predefined header files, you can also create your own header files and you can keep in your desired location into your computer, and you can attach those user defined header files into your program as well. So the concept is very simple here. See, the first form, when you are including the predefined header files into your program, ఆ, మీరు ప్రీడిఫైన్డ్ హెడర్ ఫైల్స్ ఇంక్లూడ్ చేస్తున్నారు అనుకోండి, దెన్ యూజ్ దిస్ యాంగులర్ బ్రేసెస్. సో హియర్ ఫైల్ నేమ్ డాట్ హెచ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ సంథింగ్ ప్రీడిఫైన్డ్, ఓకేనా, అండ్ యు ఆర్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ దిస్ ఫ్రమ్ సిస్టమ్ లైబ్రరీ. వి కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ సిస్టమ్ లైబ్రరీలోనే మనకు అన్ని ప్రీడిఫైన్డ్ హెడర్ ఫైల్స్ ఉంటాయి. సో ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ ఇట్ ఫ్రమ్ ది సిస్టమ్ లైబ్రరీ, యూజ్ యాంగులర్ బ్రాకెట్స్. అండ్ ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ ఇంక్లూడింగ్ సంథింగ్ యూజర్ డిఫైన్డ్ హెడర్ ఫైల్, user define చేసిన header file, your own header files, if you want to include into your program, then use double quotes. Don't use angular brackets, use double quotes. That is the only difference between including the predefined header file and including the user defined header file. Now here they have shown stdio.h, it is a predefined header file. File1.h, it is a user defined header file. So predefined header file will come from the system library, and user defined header file will come from user directory. So when you are including, as you can see, what it is doing, keeping such a preprocessor command into your program, it is simply replacing that command with the actual lines of code present in stdio.h and the actual lines of code present in file1.h. In this, clearly they have shown before and after thing, before and after file inclusion, how the things will be, they have clearly shown here. Before the pre-processing, they are just the preprocessor commands, but after the pre-processing, they are lines of code. Okay, this difference you need to notice. Before the pre-processing, they are just pre-processing commands. After the pre-processing, they are lines of code. Okay, so this lines of code, after including the lines of code, we call this as the translation unit, which will be supplied to the translator. Hope you understood, ma. So then go here. See, another important pre-processing command is hash define. Okay, hash define. So to create the defined constants in your program, we use this second preprocessor command. We also call it as macro definition. We call it as macro definition. Okay, so we use hash define for creating a macro in our program, hash define. So uh, So how it will be, in the sense, for the given constant, whatever constant you have to be used in your program, you can give a name by using this macro definition. You can give a name to that constant. Okay, a macro definition command associates a name with a sequence of tokens. So that sequence of tokens, we call it as body. Here you can see the syntax, how a macro can be defined in your C program. You can see the syntax here. First we have hash define. Here you have hash define. This is the keyword, or this is the what we call thing which we use to create the macro. Okay, then we have to give the identifier thing, name thing, for our whatever definition you want to keep. Okay, then you supply the body. Okay, and this name can be used later on in your code, and wherever you are using this name, what will happen during pre-processing, that name will be replaced with body. Whatever body you have given, that name will be replaced with body. Okay, the body is the text that is used to specify how the name is replaced at the time of pre-processing. Okay, so it is very simple. We have some examples also here, you can see. So coding defined constants, one of the application of macros, coding defined constants. So what we are doing, hash define size 9. So 9 is the body and size is the name. So wherever you use this size, what will happen? This size will get replaced with this 9. Okay, the simplest application of a macro is to define a constant. Okay, the following shows an example of a defined command for constant definition. The name size and the body is 9. Whenever the size thing is used or encountered in your program, what will happen? It will simply be replaced with 9 only. So this is one of the application, coding defined constant. Okay, here you have that thing. More examples they have given. See, rows we have defined, columns we have defined, and when you are creating a matrix, Okay, rows and columns simply you can keep, and then wherever you are creating such a matrix, no need to go everywhere and no need to replace the number of rows, number of columns everywhere. Simply what you can do, you can come to this pre-processing section, preprocessor section, and here you can make the number of rows, the desired number of rows, the desired number of columns. Automatically, wherever you are using these rows, columns into your program, all they will be modified. Okay, now ఈ డిఫైన్డ్ కాన్స్టెంట్స్ లేకపోతే ఏమవుతుంది, మనకు ప్రతి ప్లేస్ లో ఎక్కడైతే మనం రోస్ అండ్ కాలమ్స్ అనే టర్మ్ ని యూస్ చేస్తున్నామో ఇన్ ఎట్ ఎవ్రీ ప్లేస్ వీ హ్యావ్ టు మేక్ ద చేంజెస్. బట్ విత్ దిస్ defined constants or macro definitions, it is becoming possible, instead of doing corrections everywhere, simply you can change the number of rows, number of columns in the pre-processing area. Hope it is clear, ma. So what we can keep as a body in your macro definition. Okay, you can include the regular integers. The last point here they have given, you can read about it. So what we can keep as a body in a macro definition. Macro definition lo body ga manam em pettochu. Any type of constant value we can include, ma. You can include integer, you can include real number, character, string, anything. If it is a character, use single quotations. If it is a string, use double quotations. That is how it will be. If it's a character, use single quotations, and if it is a string, use double quotes. We already know that. Okay. So, and these macros, the define thing, macros, they can be used to simulate the functions. Okay, now we know that functions, whenever we are using in our program, they will have a declaration, they will have a body, they will have a call area. So whenever you are making a call, the control will jump from the call to the body. Okay, and the declaration gives the idea to the compiler, what parameters you are giving, what is the name of the function, what return value the function is giving. All that idea the declaration will give to the compiler. Okay, so these macros, they can be used as a simulator for functions. I mean, to simulate the concept of functions, we can use this macros. So quickly read here. The preprocessor's macro facility is very powerful. It can also be used to simulate functions. Okay, it can also be used to simulate functions. Okay, so how to create macros that simulate functions, we discuss here. Okay, so here again we need to give these things, ma. What is the function name, and what I mean, whether the function is with parameters or without parameters. These type of things we need to specify. Okay, so first thing we will see macros to simulate functions without parameters. If you don't have any parameters to the macros, how the thing will be. Okay, uh, so when we simulate a function with a macro, the macro definition replaces the function definition. The macro name serves as the header, same like your function name. The macro name serves here, and the macro body serves as the function body. Whatever statements you are writing as part of the body of your macro, okay, that body, it is same like your function's body. The name of the macro then used to call the function. Okay, so the way how we are using the function name to call the function, here to invoke the macro body, we use the macro name. Okay, here they have given it is something to flush the characters. See, while reading the keyboard characters, it is required to flush the characters, whatever previous keystrokes we are having stored in the buffer. To remove those keystrokes, we use this flush function. Okay, they have given simple code for this flush function. Flush, what it will do, whatever buffered keystrokes we are having in our computer, those buffered keystrokes will be what we call removed. Otherwise, what will happen in that pipeline, whenever we are reading the keyboard, in our pipeline, if there is some previous keystrokes are waiting in your buffer, those keystrokes will come as an input to your program. That we don't want. I mean, the waiting keystrokes are something like garbage to us. We don't want them. We want to flush them, isn't it? So before pressing any keystroke onto your keyboard, I mean, this type of phenomenon is not there in the modern compilers, because modern compilers, they come with inbuilt flushing concept. So whatever keystrokes we are making prior to the execution of our program, those keystrokes will automatically flushed whenever you are reading a keystroke into your application. Okay, hope you understood this one. So the following figure shows how we can write a function to flush the standard input buffer. Okay, while functions are called when the program is executed, macro definitions are called during the pre-processing stage only, compilation stage only. Functions ఎప్పుడు కాల్ అవుతాయమ్మా, మీరు ప్రోగ్రామ్ రన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఫంక్షన్స్ కాల్ అవుతాయి, కానీ ప్రీ ప్రాసెస్డ్ ఫంక్షన్ సిమ్యులేషన్స్ macros, okay, function simulations, macros will be executed, I mean macros will be called at the time of pre-processing only. That is part of your compilation. Okay, so the preprocessor replaces the macro name in the program with the macro body. It will simply remove the macro name and replaces the macro body. We said preprocessor means replacement only. In the first part of the class only, I told you very clearly this. Whenever we use the preprocessors in our program, what will happen? The preprocessor commands will be replaced with their bodies. So function being a preprocessor, macro function, it is of no difference. So what will happen? In short, the function name, the macro definition name, whatever you have given, that macro function name will be replaced with macro function body. Okay, in your program. So here they have given more examples for, this case they are using functions, how the thing will be. So whenever you are calling the flush function, what will happen? The control jumps to the flush code, flush definition, and executes the flush definition and comes back to the flush call only, isn't it? But in this you can see, whenever you are making the flush as a defined macro, what will happen? It will replaces that flush విత్ ది బాడీ. ఓకేనా, ఇక్కడ మనకు కంట్రోల్ ఆ పార్ట్ కి జంప్ అవ్వడం, మళ్ళీ అక్కడ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసుకొని రిటర్న్ అవ్వడం అలాంటిది జరగదు. ఏమవుతుంది? సింపుల్ గా మీరు ఎక్కడైతే ఫ్లష్ అనే కీవర్డ్ రాశారో, ఫ్లష్ అనే మ్యాక్రో రాశారో, ఆ మ్యాక్రో కాస్త ఏమవుతుందమ్మా, ఆ మ్యాక్రో నేమ్ కాస్త మ్యాక్రో బాడీ తోటి రీప్లేస్ అవుతుంది. అండ్ ఇన్సైడ్ ద బాడీ హియర్ యూ కెన్ సీ క్లియర్లీ వీ మెన్షన్డ్ దట్ వైల్ లూప్ ఓన్లీ to read the character till there is a new line character. To read the characters, all the characters till there is a new line character. So it will simply read all that characters and it will flush. Okay, na? It will ignore. Kind of thing will happen. So here ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడికి జంప్ అయి రిటర్న్ అవ్వడం అనేది జరగదు. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడికి జంప్ అయి మళ్ళీ రిటర్న్ అవ్వడం అలాంటిది జరగదు. వాట్ విల్ హ్యాపెన్? దిస్ ఎంటైర్ కోడ్ విల్ కమ్ over here like this. You can see here they have mentioned clearly. So this is before the pre-processing and this is after the pre-processing. Okay, no? So macro to simulate function call without parameters. Here we are not using any parameters. There is a way to use parameters also that we will see here. See, macros to simulate functions with parameters. Okay, now here two things will happen. First, the body of the macro gets replaced, then the parameters get replaced. ఫస్ట్ ఏమవుతుంది, మనకు బాడీ రీప్లేస్ అవుతుంది, తర్వాత పారామీటర్స్ రీప్లేస్ అవుతాయి. ఇట్ ఈస్ అ టూ స్టెప్ ప్రాసెస్ బేసికలీ వెనెవర్ యూ యూజ్ మ్యాక్రోస్ టు సిమ్యులేట్ ఫంక్షన్స్ విత్ పారామీటర్స్. వితౌట్ పారామీటర్స్ అంటే ఓన్లీ సింగిల్ స్టెప్, నేమ్ కాస్త బాడీ తోటి రీప్లేస్ అయిపోతుంది. కానీ మీరు విత్ పారామీటర్స్ అన్నారు అంటే టూ థింగ్స్ రీప్లేస్ అవ్వాలి, నేమ్ బాడీ తోటి రీప్లేస్ అవ్వాలి అండ్ పారామీటర్స్ కూడా రీప్లేస్ అవ్వాలి. నేమ్ రీప్లేస్మెంట్, parameter replacement, two things must go. So which thing will be performed first? In the sense, body replacement will be performed first, then the parameter replacement will occur. Okay, na? So here you can see I'm using first simple macro, product macro I'm using. So has defined product of x comma y. This is the macro name. Product is the macro name and these are my parameters. X, y are my parameters and this is my body. Don't get confused here. This is body. These two are parameters. These two are parameters and this whole thing is macro name. Macro name. So how it will go? So you can see here I am calling the product macro using its name. This is the name of the macro. Using name I am calling by keeping two actual parameters. 4 on 5. 4 on 5 are my actual parameters. Actual parameters and xy are my formal parameters. Do remember, xy are my formal parameters. Then how the thing will happen? First, what it is doing, the whole thing, the whole thing gets replaced with body. As I said, na, after first step, what is happening? Whole thing is replaced with body. Bodyలో మనకి ఏముంది? x multiplied with y ఉంది. So p equals to x multiplied y అవుతుంది. This will be done in the first step. And in the second step, what is happening? Ma? X with its actual value, x formal parameter with its actual value, y formal parameter with its actual value gets replaced. So x కి మనం ఇచ్చిన actual value ఏంటి? 4 పాస్ చేస్తున్నాం. So x will become 4 here. Okay, and that will be replaced in the body, and y will become 5 and that will be replaced in the body. So like this, from here to here, from here to here, 4 will go into x, gets replaced in the body, 5 will go into y, gets replaced in the body. Same thing happened over here. In the first step, only the body replacement we are getting, and in the second step, parameter replacement we are getting. So these two things you have to remember, ma. Okay, macros to simulate functions with parameters, how it will be, and without parameters, how it will be, you have to remember. Then we have nested macros. You can keep one macro within another macro. So first here you can see I'm defining product macro with two parameters. Okay, now two parameters, a comma b. Okay, first I'm defining the product macro with a comma b. So generally what it is doing, the product macro, it is calculating a multiplied with b. Okay, na? A multiplied b. This whole thing, this is the name. Once again, I'm writing here. This is the name. These two are my parameters, formal parameters. These two are my formal parameters, and this is the body. This whole thing is the body. Okay, so this product macro again I'm using inside square macro. స్క్వేర్ మ్యాక్రోలో మళ్ళీ ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, నేను ప్రోడక్ట్ అనే మ్యాక్రోని యూస్ చేసుకుంటున్నాను, యాజ్ అ బాడీ యూస్ చేస్తున్నాను. చూడండి, సో ఫర్ స్క్వేర్ మ్యాట్రిక్స్ దిస్ హోల్ థింగ్ విల్ బికమ్ నేమ్. ఇక్కడ నుంచి ఇక్కడ వరకు నేమ్. ఓకేనా, అండ్ దిస్ హోల్ థింగ్ కాలింగ్ ప్రోడక్ట్ ఇన్సైడ్ స్క్వేర్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ది బాడీ ఆఫ్ స్క్వేర్. ఓకేనా, బాడీ ఆఫ్ స్క్వేర్. సో నౌ ఎక్స్పాన్షన్ ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఫస్ట్ వాట్ ఐఎమ్ డూయింగ్, ఐఎమ్ కాలింగ్ స్క్వేర్ ఆఫ్ 5. So square will invoke square macro and 5 will go into A. Okay, this is clear. Then inside the body what we are having, product macro call we are having. So from here the replacement of square of A, that is square of 5, when you are doing the replacement of product of 5 comma 5 will be done. Product of 5 comma 5 will be done, and finally 5 multiplied by 5 will be done. So I will show you here. First we are invoking square of 5. So square of 5, when you are invoking, what will happen? First the replacement for the body of this square of 5, not the parameters. I'm not doing the parameters because it is a two-step process we said. So first body replacement రాస్తున్నాను. చూడండి, body replacement ఏమవుతుంది, స్క్వేర్ లో బాడీ మనకి ఏముంది, product of I'm writing small letters, just check the case sensitivity. Here we have capitals, but I'm writing small. Okay, product of a comma a replace అవుతుంది. And what is product of a comma a? The parameter replacement. This is the body replacement, then parameter replacement. Parameter replacement ఎలా జరుగుతుంది, product. Okay, product of parameter replacement. A place లో మనం ఏం పాస్ చేశాం, 5 పాస్ చేశాం. సో 5 comma 5. Then ఈ product of 5 comma 5 invoke అవుతుంది here. Product of 5 comma 5 gets invoked. Again it is a two-step process. First the body replacement, then the parameter replacement. First body replacement, product of 5 comma 5. What we have, a multiplied with a. Okay, because a and b both we are passing a only, you can see a and b both we are passing a only. So a multiplied with a, then parameter replacement, 5 multiplied with 5. Likewise we get the square of 5, that is 25 will be replaced and stored inside x. ఇక్కడ మనకి ఏం వస్తుంది, 25 వస్తుంది. Is that same 25 we are storing into x. Okay, hope you understood, okay, hope you understood. Okay, then undefining a macro. Once a macro is defined, Okay, after the purpose is over and you don't need it at some point of your program, you can undefine it. Okay, you can destroy the definition of that macro. Okay na, defined macro definition, macro ni ela define chestam, ila define chestam amma. So uh, with some size, I mean, initially you want size 10, size as 10, and later at some point you want the size as 20. So in meantime, what you can do, you can undefine and once again you can redefine. Okay, undefine చేసి మళ్ళీ redefine చేసుకోవచ్చు. Undefine చేయడానికి undef. Okay, we use the macro, undefining a macro, undef keyword we use. Okay, so then predefined macros, as I said, not just the user defined ones. There are some predefined macros we have in C language. Okay, so the following table, this particular table will give the clarity on those predefined macros. First, we have the date macro, which provides the date. Okay, na? Today's date, whatever system date we are having in our computer, ఆ డేట్ ని ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఫార్మాట్ లో మనకు రిటర్న్ చేస్తుంది డేట్ మ్యాక్రో. Okay, you can print this date macro and you can check the content of it. Then file macro, uh, so whatever source file you are dealing with it will return the source file name. Then line number, where you are keeping this line macro, that particular line number it will return inside your source file. Time macro will return the time in this format, hours, minutes, seconds, the current system time it will return. Then stdc, okay, uh, if your compiler it conforms to the ISO implementation, it will return true, otherwise it will return false ma. Okay, so here I have used, you can see this, uh, I'm printing the line number. I got the 4 because I'm using that line macro in the fourth line. Okay, line macro ekkada use chesanu nenu, predefined macro, line macro I have used in fourth line. That's the reason I'm getting the line number as 4. And then the file macro, the complete name and path to my file it is printing inside C, users, honest, OneDrive, documents, online classes. Then predefined macros.c, likewise it is giving the whole thing. Okay, then time macro it is returning the time particular. In your notes for everything we have the examples, you can go through it. Okay, then date, it is returning the today's, I mean whatever date when I have executed this program, it is returning the date. Time, whatever time I have executed this program, it is returning the time. ISO compliance, it is returning the support or no support. By returning 1, it is indicating there is a support, and if it is returning 0 means false case, no support. Okay, then line number, once again I'm printing and I got 9 as my line number. You can see as I'm executing that line, second line, preprocessor, predefined preprocessor in the 9th line, so I got the line number as 9 ma. Hope you understood this one. So then we have some operators related to macros, the string conversion operator, hash operator. Okay, so there are several merge operator, hash conversion operator, likewise several operators we have, but we discuss only about string converting operator hash. Okay, what it will do, at the time of compilation of your program, uh, to print the variable name, to print the variable names, we use this string converting operator because generally whenever we use normal variable in our programming, we get the value. So how to print the name in the sense, just prefix this string converting operator. So here you have the example, you can see. So what I'm doing, I'm printing the value of a. I'm doing two things here. First, I'm printing the name of A, then I'm printing the value of A, likewise. Okay, so whenever you call with some variable name amount, then what will happen? It will print the name of the variable as amount, and then it will print the value of that variable, that is whatever value you are assigning to that variable. Okay, hope you understood. Then we have the defined operator. So for a particular macro, okay, for a particular macro, whether that name is already used as a macro in your program or not, because you write thousands of lines of code not just in the real time implementations I'm talking about. Sometimes what will happen, and multiple people also get involved in your project implementation or in your application implementation. What will happen, multiple people gets involved, multiple people will write separate source files for the implementation. So in separate source files, at some point, if you are using same macro names, conflicting macro names, it will go very difficult during debugging, isn't it? So before defining a particular macro name, you can check whether it is already used or not by using this defined operator. So what it will do, when you use this defined operator with a particular name, okay, for a particular name, whether that name is already used as a macro name or not, it will give. Okay, if it is already defined, it will return 1, indicating true. If it is not defined, it will return 0, indicating not defined. Similarly, we also have not defined operator also, not defined of pi. Here you can see in the example they have given what they are doing. Initially, they are defining one macro with the name pi with some value. Okay, then what they are trying, a defined pi. Obviously, it will return what? 1 it will return, because pi it is already used. Okay, if you try with some other name, if it is not defined, it will return 0. Or exactly opposite to this, there is one more, not defined also we have, not defined of pi. What it will do, ma? It will do the exactly opposite job. Okay, now not defined of pi, we are checking. As pi is already defined and we are checking with not defined, it will return 0. If it is not defined, it will return 1. Hope you understood, ma. Then conditional compilation. We can use these preprocessor commands to do conditional compilation, like your selection statements, if else, nested if else ladder, kind of things we are having, right, in your selection statements. To achieve that same thing in your programming, you can use this preprocessor commands. Like we have the first one, we have the hash if, hash else, hash elif, hash endif, hash ifdef, hash if not defined, ifndef. Okay. The third use of preprocessor command is conditional compilation. Conditional compilations allows us to control the compilation process by including or excluding statements. Two-way commands, it is very simple. If followed by the expression, here we are using if followed by the expression. So whatever expression you give, if it is true, what will happen? The immediate code will be evaluated. Okay, during your pre-processing, the immediate code will be replaced if your supplied expression is true. And if the supplied expression is false, then what will happen? The else part will be evaluated. Okay, the else part will be replaced in your code. Hope you understood this. Here we have if followed by the expression. If this is true, if the expression is true, the immediate code will be replaced. And if the expression is false, the false body, that is else part, will be replaced. It is similar to your if else statement, but there are some differences which we study here. See, the expression is a constant value. The expression, it should be a constant. It should result either a 0 or a non-zero thing. 0 indicates boolean false and non-zero indicates boolean true. We all know that one. Okay, if the value is non-zero, it is interpreted as true, and if the value is 0, it is interpreted as false. So if it is true, the if body will be included, and if it is false, the else body will be included. Hope you understood. There are two major differences between your regular if else statement and this preprocessor if else command. Okay, regular if else and a preprocessor if else command. The first thing is, we no need to use parentheses. Generally, to make a compound statement or to make a block of statement, immediately after the if, what we are doing, if, then we are using statements close, then else, then statements, then close. Likewise, we are doing to make these statements as a single statement, block of statements as a single statement, we are using curly brackets. Okay, That type of thing, it is not there. Here what we do, hash if, then whatever statements you want to keep, even though you have multiple statements, keep as is without the parenthesis, keep as is, and then hash else, then hash end if. We'll be having end if. Here you can see end if. So this end if token will tell that where the if else is ending. Okay, now without curly brackets, this is how the end if token will serve as the end point. Hope you understood. Uh, yes, and the expression, whatever expression we are keeping, in our regular case, we keep using parenthesis. Expression ఎలా పెడతాం? Parenthesis use చేసి expression పెడతాం. Here no need of expression. Using the parenthesis, simply give if followed by the expression. Don't use parenthesis. Here you can see we are not using any parenthesis for the expression. It is kept as is, straight. Hope you understood. So here, if there is no if part, if there is no else part, how the things will be, they have given. And here the abbreviations. So with the defined name, you can use the if. As an expression, you can use the defined name. So here what will happen, whatever name, suppose if I keep here for your understanding, let us say I'm defining pi, hash define, then pi I'm using with some value, pi, it is pi with some value 3.14, like this I have already defined. So what will happen in this particular scenario, when I write if followed by defined a pi. So as pi is already defined, what it will return? It will return 1. So it will be considered like a true case. Okay, it will be considered like a true case. So instead of writing like this, if defined pi, there is a similar token we have, that is hash def ifdef, hash ifdef pi. So these two are similar. Writing if defined pi, which will return 1, simply you can write, instead of if defined, ifdef. You can write a shortcut, ifdef. So here also what it will return? It will return 1 only, because pi is already defined. Same way the second thing, hash if not defined. We said now not defined is exactly opposite to defined. Not defined of pi, obviously pi is already defined. Here what will be returned? 0 will be returned, because not defined we are saying. So it is same like what ma? Hash if and def, if not defined, pi. Okay, so this is if not defined, is if not defined is the shortcut for if not defined. Hope you understood. So here also what will be written? 0 will be written. Similar case, so same case, so 0 will be returned. Hope you understood. So yeah, this is already I explained now, the conflict of what we call preprocessor commands. How we can avoid inclusion of the same header file again and again in multiple files, means this approach you can follow. There is a possibility of multi-way selection also. You can use if elif, else, and if kind of tokens to make a chain of uh, if elif statements. We also call them as if elif ladders. Okay, you can make them using this multi-way command. Okay, this is the complete summary ma. What are all the commands we have discussed so far? This is the complete summary of preprocessor commands. Hope you understood ma. With this we have concluded the preprocessor commands in your C language. Thank you.